Welcome to Seismic Sound Off, exploring the depth and usefulness of geophysics for the scientific community and the public. I'm your host, Andrew Geary. In a first for this podcast, special guest Paolo Dell'Aversana discusses music's role in interpreting seismic. Based on concepts well established in cognitive sciences, Paolo introduces the idea of expanded or augmented imaging in geophysics using a dual sensory perception of a data set. Using augmented imaging theory, Paolo explains the basic principles of multimodal seismic data analysis. He then provides examples and applications of real data at varying spatial scales. Paolo shares the advantages and limitations of converting seismic data into an auditory format and outlines how geophysicists can start with this approach today. This episode unlocks secret information hiding in your seismic data just waiting to be discovered. On October 5th, Seismic Sound Off will celebrate 200 episodes, and we want to hear from you. Visit speakpipe.com/seismicsoundoff to leave a message today and be automatically entered to win a free online subscription to the SEG library, everything except the ebooks, for 1 year. To read August's issue of The Leading Edge and find links to leave a message for our 200th episode and hear Paolo's seismic musical creations, visit seg.org/podcast or check out the episode show notes where you're listening. And now, my conversation with Paolo Dell'Aversana. I'm excited to speak with about August, The Leading Edge, which focuses on visualization in geophysics. And I've been doing this for 7 years now, and I can't recall a special section on this visualization aspect. So I want to talk briefly, if you could talk briefly, about the role of visualization historically for geophysicists.
Yes, of course. Let's say that geosciences strongly depend on the utilization of images as fundamental bricks for creating comprehensive Earth models and for informing important decisions such as the assessment of drilling locations. Geoscientists can employ multiple geophysical imaging techniques for different exploration purposes, and for sure seismic imaging represents the dominant approach in hydrocarbon exploration, offering geoscientists accurate images of the subsurface. Seismic imaging includes methods like pre-step migration, seismic tomography, full-wave inversion, and so forth. However, geophysical imaging techniques include also a wide range of other approaches like electrical resistivity tomography, gravity and magnetic, electromagnetic methods, and many more. Nowadays, the best approach is to try to integrate all these methods by combining data from different geophysical imaging methods. In such a way, we can create comprehensive 2D and 3D Earth models, enabling us to visualize and interpret important geological information.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can understand why it would be important to have accurate imaging of the subsurface for a geoscientist. But why do you think it might be valuable for geoscientists to expand their concept that they may have right now of visualization into a broader idea?
Yeah, to answer this question, we should move into the neurobiological domain because the human brain exhibits a visual dominance in comparison to other senses. However, when visual information is uncertain or degraded, auditory perception can play a crucial complementary role with respect to visual perception. In fact, multisensory integration is a common practice in both basic perception and higher level cognition. These are well-known neurobiological concepts, and geophysicists can take profit from them by expanding their idea of visualization, by complementing traditional visual imaging with audio perception of the same data.
Well, I'm excited to dig more a little bit in how audio can help with this. I do, as these are scientists that are listening to this podcast, a lot of them What scientific evidence is there for the benefits of this dual sensory approach of your eyes and ears?
We have several scientific evidence. Let's say that the first very important feedback that I received from a group of specialists who participated in several tests was absolutely positive, with more or less 90% of them expressing satisfaction with the simultaneous audiovisual display of seismic data. And this significant response from experts provides a good confirmation that the integration of audio and visual elements significantly enhances the interpretation process from multiple perspectives. In addition, we applied this multimodal approach in correspondence of direct evidences from drilled wells, receiving many robust calibrations by comparison with borehole data.
How did you first become interested in exploring if music audio could support the work of interpreters?
Let's say that I started many years ago. Before being a geophysicist, I am a musician, and over the years, I have explored in detail the links and the analogies between the physics of sound and the physics of seismic waves. At least 20 years ago, I began to put this theoretical interest into practice, transforming qualitative analogies into a robust, rigorous method of geophysical data analysis by employing techniques and tools from sound engineering.
That's pretty neat there. I want to. This is mentioned in your paper. If you could go ahead and explain a bit the theory of augmented imaging.
Yes, of course. The approach of augmented imaging is built on the following basic idea, supported by neurosciences as well as by the common everyday experience. Our brain has evolved to utilize the entire multisensory information from the environment, enabling us to face with the daily challenges of a complex reality. Earth sciences can greatly benefit from a multisensory integrated cognition, especially when dealing with multidisciplinary information. In the complex today's world, advanced visualization systems provide numerous, let's say many advantages by incorporating audio representation, referred to as multimodal multisensory representation. This approach starts from a detailed analysis of the data series in both time and frequency domain, such as seismic traces, for example. A seismic trace is a typical example of a data series, or electromagnetic signals, well logs, and so forth. So the first step is that we extract the spectrogram from the data using mathematical transforms such as wavelet or Stockwell transforms. Then we convert these spectrograms into MIDI file. MIDI means musical instrument digital interface. It is a typical, well-known standard format in digital music. We use a nonlinear relationship between frequencies, amplitude, and MIDI attributes, MIDI files. After converting the seismic data in MIDI attributes, then we can play these attributes using sequencers that are particular musical programs, particular software that is used in sound engineering for playing and for interpreting MIDI attributes. So we can listen to the seismic trace after this type of a transformation. So basically, this is, in few words, this is the methodology that allows us to put together images and sound of the same geophysical data.
I mean, I imagine people are just smiling thinking about transforming the seismic data into an audio format. So, what are the benefits? What are the advantages of converting the seismic data into this MIDI format?
There are many benefits. First, MIDI format allows easy audio reproduction using standard digital music technology. So we don't need to use special software platforms for running seismic traces transformed into MIDI format. There is a lot of standard technology for listening to the MIDI file of the seismic traces. This allows an expanded representation of the same data set that is visual and audio at the same time, and in time as well as in frequency domain at the same time. From a neurobiological point of view, we can understand this benefit because this approach allows geoscientists to use an expanded portion of their brain. In other words, by connecting different parts of the cerebral cortex that are responsible for visual and auditory perception at the same time, we can develop an advanced form of perception and an advanced cognition of the geophysical dataset. The next very important benefit is that MIDI format does not require high computer memory. This allows fast data processing and fast and easy application of advanced machine learning methods for analysis and automatic classification, clustering, prediction. So machine learning can be used massively on this MIDI format transformed data. Finally, with this approach, the interpretation and the analysis of geophysical data can be also accessible to individuals who are blind or who have severe visual impairments. So this is a sort of very democratic approach involving an enlarged portion of geophysicists.
Yeah, so it's checking a lot of box for the benefits of converting this into this MIDI format. What are the limitations of this protocol geophysicists maybe should keep in mind?
Yes, the only limitation is that in our approach, MIDI format provides a discretized representation of the signal spectrogram. Consequently, we lose a small percentage of the original information. However, using the proper mathematical transformations such as accurate wavelet or Stockwell transforms, we can be confident that almost 98 to 99% of the original signal is preserved.
Yeah, and it sounds like from what you're sharing, you would get that 1 or 2% back pretty quickly, just in the terms of the unique things you would be able to hear by using this approach. Could you share a couple of real world applications using this particular approach?
Yes, we wrote a lot of papers describing real case histories using real world data, and probably the following are the two most relevant papers, peer reviewed papers, including detailed discussions of real world applications for our approach. The first very important paper was wrote by myself and other colleagues in 2016. In that paper, you can find a fantastic application on the Screwguard oil discovery. We sonified, basically we transformed in music, an entire regional seismic section crossing the Screwguard oil discovery. And you can listen to this section on my YouTube page. You can listen to the music produced by the seismic data in correspondence of the oil discovery. This is a fantastic real world application. The title of the paper is Sonification of Geophysical Data through Time Frequency Transforms. It was published on Geophysical Prospecting several years ago, exactly in 2016. The other very important application, real world, let's say, application, is described in a paper published by myself and other colleagues titled Application of Machine Learning and Digital Music Technology to Distinguish High from Low Gas Saturated Reservoirs. This was a very important milestone in the application of our methodology because it describes very well a real case history where you can see how our methodology is able to discriminate between low gas saturated sand from high gas saturated sand. That is a very, very important practical application.
You mentioned earlier that you are a musician, and you've said things like sound engineering and spectrographs and amplitudes and these sound words that could be a little intimidating maybe. So do you think it's required to have this knowledge and understanding of music and even maybe how to use certain recording tools to be able to utilize this method?
Knowledge and understanding of music is not essential to utilize this method. However, it can help because the musicians have a high sensitivity for musical structures and for capturing musical trends. So it is reasonable to expect that the musicians can capture audio signals and anomalies and specific signals better than people who don't have any musical education. However, in general, in order to apply our methodology, being a musician is not strictly necessary.
That's good to know. And if you've been to the SEG annual meeting, they would have a lot of geoscientists playing at different events. So you could probably find a musician if you are not one yourself as well. What particular challenges in this multimodal approach are you most looking forward to working on?
I'm working a lot for empowering this geomusical approach through the application of a new deep learning methods. So machine learning basically can do a lot for enhancing this methodology. And also I'm trying to develop innovative sound engineering technology combining all these machine learning, geophysical, and sound engineering technologies with important neuroscientific background. So we must remind that in background we have neurosciences because a lot of critical criteria supporting my approach are based on neurosciences. So I'm trying to develop further this methodology taking into account neuroscientific criteria, and there is a lot of work to do.
This might already exist, but do you think in your ideal world or a possibility there could be software that you could just input the seismic data and it would run through these mathematical things and give you this musical ability to hear the data?
Yes, indeed, I wrote a lot of software for doing that, and I am a Python programmer, so I wrote a lot of a lot of Python scripts for doing the entire workflow for transforming seismic data into MIDI files, into audio files, and so on. And also, I put something on the web on my ResearchGate page in the code section, so everybody can explore my ResearchGate page and can find a lot of tutorials, software tutorials in Python for doing at least part of the workflow.
Yeah, we will link to your YouTube page as well as to this ResearchGate page. And the kind of it might answer this question, but maybe you have something else to add. For someone intrigued by using this approach outside of going to this ResearchGate page, going to your YouTube page to hear what it's like, what is the next step they should take?
I suggest starting with a simple test using 1D seismic signals, for example, an individual seismic trace, to test, for example, to test my codes, my Python codes that everybody can find on ResearchGate. And for instance, I suggest to try with an earthquake seismogram and then the user can try to extract. The first step is to extract signal spectrogram from the earthquake seismogram using these codes. There is also an interesting library, Python library, that is totally open source. It is named Librosa, Librosa. It is a Python library that is in the public domain, and someone intrigued with this approach can try to use this library for processing an earthquake. And finally, the user can try to extract audio and media attributes from the earthquake spectrum and exploring the large range of possibility to analyze these attributes through machine learning algorithms. Everything can be done by every type of geophysicist because everything is online, is free, is public. Just you need patience to explore the web or my ResearchGate page to use my or other scripts. So this is what I suggest to do.
What would be your punchline as we are closing out this conversation?
My key final message is just the following. Technologies for analyzing and for imaging geophysical data can be greatly enhanced if we go beyond our specific field of interest. By connecting geosciences with the neurosciences, sound engineering, and the new artificial intelligence techniques, we have a lot of extraordinary possibilities to develop novel methods and processing analysis technologies for data imaging and interpretation. So this is my final key message. Try to combine different methodologies together.
That's a good key message there. And lastly, maybe another key message you could share more generally. What principal teaching or experience has helped you succeed in your field?
Yeah, my guiding principle is the importance of maintaining an open mind. Always maintaining an open mind, continuously trying to integrate different areas of human knowledge without confining ourselves to our specific particular professional field. So this is my guiding principle in my work every day.
Well, geophysics is such a living testament to that because it's combining of these two huge methods of scientific discipline. So I think that would resonate with a lot of geophysicists. Is there anything, Paolo, I should have asked that I did not?
I think that we basically covered all the main aspects. Of course, we didn't have the time for going into details, but I would like to say that all the details from a mathematical point of view, a physical point of view, a geophysical point of view, can be found in a large amount of papers and books that my colleagues and I wrote. Many of them are open source and can be found on the web. And of course, I suggest to read the leading edge paper just published on this subject, where the readers can find a lot of additional details that can be useful for complementing this nice conversation with you.
Yeah, it'll be great timing probably when this episode is out. A lot of people will be getting their physical copies, though you can access the digital version of this article already. So definitely start there and look at the bibliography for additional information and steps. Well, Paolo, I really appreciate this unique exploration of geophysics and for speaking with our audience today about it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It was really a pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
You reached the end of Seismic Sound Off. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to be the first to know about the next episode, please follow or subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Two of my favorites are Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have episode ideas, feedback for the show, or want to sponsor a future episode, visit seg.org/podcast and find the box titled Contact Seismic Sound Off. Zach Bridges created original music for this show. This episode was hosted, edited, and produced by me, Andrew Geary at Treasurement. The SEG podcast team is Jennifer Cobb, Kathy Gamble, and Allie McGinnis. Thank you for listening. This is Seismic Sound Off, signaling off.